We all wonder what happens after you die. But what about what happens after you don't die? Today I'll ask an artist what it means to live and create after surviving a deadly brain tumor. Most of us move forward in life using our core values and our self-image as a compass. But what if a life-threatening illness gives that compass a big wheel of fortune spin? What if surviving not only gives you a second chance, but also changes everything you know about yourself? Does surviving help you appreciate everyday life? Or does it add pressure to make every moment count? My friend Darrow is here to talk about the gift and the baggage that comes with cheating death. My name is Bao Vo. I'm an artist.
And I'm Darrow, and I'm a music artist and producer.
And this is Mind Over Matcha, where we share everyday epiphanies, tiny droplets of wisdom that could change the way you see the world. Take what you need, and let the rest pass like the clouds.
You fit this all inside of a pellet?
Dude, it's a gun case.
That makes it even better.
So, Darrow, I think the last 2 episodes have been about mortality in some way.
Oh, there's a theme going on. Season 1, mortality.
Yeah. So I think the first thing we should do is give folks an idea of who you are, where you come from, and
I'm from Pennsylvania, born and raised in Pennsylvania. First generation. Sup, squirrel?
so curious.
So curious. I identify myself primarily as an artist, a music artist. I make music in the alternative genre, pop punk, emo, rock. And that's kind of always primarily been my driving force. But kind of before I landed on that, I had spent the better part of a decade studying music in college.
Yeah, you're like actually trained.
I mean, I guess if you want to call it that way. I almost feel like I don't really use much of that training because the way that when you go to music school, especially the kinds of music school that I've gone to, they teach you so many things and it crams so much in the 4 years. It takes a while for those lessons to digest. So I was still digesting music theory lessons like years after I graduated. But sometime during grad school, I want to say around 2017, 2016 was when I started noticing that I was having like physical problems. My body was acting and reacting all kinds of ways that I was not used to. I was starting to like lose vision, and I remember like right after I graduated with my master's, I came home to the United States, and I thought that I had some sort of eye infection or some sort of eye issue when I went to the doctor, and they basically told me that there was something pushing on my optic nerves that was causing my vision problems, and it turned out to be the brain tumor because it was so large that it was just physically impacting my vision. So that was very, very scary.
What was going through your mind, or what emotions was dominant during that period?
Regret?
Really?
Yeah, because well, okay, look at it from this point. Look from this perspective is that I had been studying music for a very long time, almost 10 years, and in my head, I was like, okay, I'm going to graduate and then I'm going to start my career, my music career, you know. And, you know, part of it was being very self-conscious and just, you know, not feeling confident in my ability to be a songwriter and release my own music. So for a majority of my, I would say, music education, I didn't let myself be an artist. I kind of restricted myself to being kind of just a musician, specifically for other people.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, kind of more like a session musician type of situation. But it wasn't fulfilling for me. It was more of a shield because I'm quite good at guitar, or felt like I was quite good at guitar. And it's a very easy thing for me to shield the self-consciousness of being vulnerable as a songwriter and, you know, releasing music with my own thoughts and feelings behind it.
I know this.
Rather than just hiding behind the guitar, which is something that I'm comfortable and good at, you know? And the regret that I was feeling was that I had spent so much of my time not doing the thing that I really wanted to do deep down because I was scared of it. And when I was faced with this brain tumor, I was just like, did I really just spend 10 years studying music and never release a single song? Like, did I
But at
really
the
just...
time, you thought you were working toward that dream.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, hindsight is 2020, but in the moment, all that I was reflecting on was the amount of opportunities in the last few years from that moment that I could have been doing that. You know what I mean? There's nobody stopping me from doing that except myself. And that was the most frustrating part. I was like, I'm literally gonna, like, if I leave this earth, there won't be anything for anyone to remember me by except for like the tales of my friends and my family. But like, I didn't leave any art behind. I didn't leave any, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And that's what really made me regret it, because I don't know, I guess I just feel like art is one of those things that can eternalize a person. It's like one of the things that can transcend mortality, I guess.
Yeah.
And for me to not have been able to express my art because I was scared of it, and then thinking that I was gonna die, it was very frustrating. And so
Frustrating.
Yeah, it was very frustrating. And obviously there was the holy crap, I think I'm gonna die type of moment that is, it was terrifying. Added to that was the complication that I was with my mom, who she's a refugee, actually, an immigrant refugee from Cambodia, and does not really quite understand the medical field or anything like that. So she just thinks I'm gonna die. Granted, so did I, but it's different when your mom is in the room with you, because I don't know, I just like, I kind of felt like I needed to comfort her about my own situation.
Wow. That's
which was
crazy.
really hard. It's really hard to see someone you love like feel that way, you know?
Yeah.
Thank you.
For you, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Nice. This is the best part of the day.
How do you think getting out of that reshaped the way you thought about how you should move forward?
So from that point, when I woke up from the surgery, I felt like a completely different person. It was
Your song talks about that.
very strange. Yeah? Which one? I'm sure I've talked about it.
Not the same.
Oh, yes, that's right. The most recent one. Yes, actually.
And I was like, I want to know the ways that you instantly felt different.
All right. All right. So, one is that there was a noticeable physical change. I could physically see way better, right? So, I had mentioned that I was starting to have vision problems because the tumor was so large that it was pressing on my optic nerves. And yes, that affected my peripheral vision, but it also affected how vibrant and I could perceive colors.
Oh,
because
wow.
I didn't even realize, and it was so gradual because it happened, the tumor grows over time, so it's gradually affecting my vision, not like all at once. And so I'm not noticing that like colors are just becoming more dull over time.
Wow.
But when I wake up from the surgery and it's gone, they were wheeling me out of the operating room into the ICU, and I was awake for it while I was being wheeled down the hallway. And I remember, like, the hallways are just like manila white, it's the hospital, so there's not really much to look at. But I get wheeled past like a waiting area, and there's this big orange couch, and I'm like, that is the brightest orange I've ever seen, right? And it's just an orange couch. But all of a sudden I'm like, holy crap, like that is the brightest orange I've ever seen. And then it hits me, I'm like, wow, I can literally see like 180 degrees, 270, whatever our actual vision field is. Because before I was like maybe 110 degree vision.
Dude.
And all of a sudden, like I have access to like out here, and I can see out here, and I'm like, whoa, I think it worked,
Wow.
That was one thing. The other thing was I felt this physical release of pressure, right? And not just like, oh, I'm really anxious and tight. Like, there literally felt like there was like a 300-pound person just sitting on my shoulders for like years. But I remember waking up from the surgery and it was gone. All of this pressure and weight just felt gone. It could have been the drugs. Honestly, it was probably mostly the drugs, because they put me on Oxycontin and it was great. And I have never had that type of drug before. And I remember taking it and actually getting a little scared that I might have that I could have gotten hooked to it.
Sure.
Because towards the end of my recovery process, I was running out, and I started to notice when it would wear off, and I'd be like, "Ooh, I get to take another one," and then I would take it, and then I would see that I had like 2 or 3 pills left in the bottle, and I'm like, "Oh, should I get more?"
Oh.
And I'm like, maybe so obviously like it didn't last, but it was like scary because
Yeah.
I was on a really low dose. So I can imagine like how easy it is to get hooked on that because it makes you feel wonderful.
Wow, dude. That's a lot of changes.
It's a lot. And my body continued to change for like at least 2 more years. Yeah.
So as you're healing physically from this, and I guess mentally, like readjusting to your new body, what does the feeling of regret get replaced with, or does it?
I kind of just knew that, okay, if I survive this ordeal and I still want to do music after this, I'm not doing this for anyone else. It was like, I'm not gonna sit here and go through that again.
Well, I'm glad it went that way, dude.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And you know what? I'm still going through it. Like it's still, the emotions are still there. Like the health problems don't go away, right? So the surgery was a success. They removed the tumor, but because of the nature of where the tumor was and what it had done to my body, there's irreversible damage. Post the tumor was the 1 to 2 year journey of self-regulating medicine to figure out what my body needed to function normally. And it took a long time. Like I had all that motivation, all of that was there, but then all of a sudden there were a bunch of different barriers that were stopping me from being 100% fully invested because I'm on lifetime medication, several of them. That's forever.
So it's either like, oh, I love everything, everything's a blessing, or oh crap, I gotta perform.
Yeah.
So that's my hypothesis about how this might affect you, and I wonder if you could describe in your perspective, like what's the outcome, what's the lesson that you learn about how to adjust your life so that you can move forward.
You know, that's actually a really, really interesting question because this is something that I've thought about before, but I've never articulated, I guess because I've never been asked. But that's very much true. Both of those things are very true, and they happen at the same time. In my experience, that first experience right after the brain tumor and the surgery, it was very much the first one where I've been given a new chance. Like everything's amazing, everything's beautiful. Like I'm on cloud 9, I can't believe I survived that. Yes, this medication is gonna suck, but I can deal with it because I almost thought I was gonna die. And it was very motivating and very fulfilling. And then there's the other side of that where, wow, like I really have to step up. Like if I don't wanna squander this second chance again, so on and so forth. And they both exist at the same time. And the reason why I think is because I think just as humans, as we are, like when we go through a traumatic experience, the further away we get from the traumatic experience, we kind of dulls that memory, or it becomes like a speed bump in our past. The further away I get from that experience, the more normal I feel, and the more that I feel like this is just a normal life now. This is just how I live. There are moments where I get little scares, where I'm reminded not only how mortal we are, but how diseased I still am. You know, you're healthy because you're taking all this medication that makes you feel normal, but if you don't have that, then you're not normal. And you know, so when I go so far away from the brain tumor surgery, I start to like forget. It's hard because both of those frames of thoughts exist, right? It's like I need to not squander the second opportunity that I've been given, and I'm willing to die for this because that's kind of, I still feel that way because I already thought I was going to. But then there's the other part of me was like, well, no, but you live a life now. You have friends and family that count on you. Like you can't just pretend that doesn't exist anymore because you've been given a second chance to follow your dream. Like you still have domestic debt, right? Like you still, I personally feel like I still owe my loved ones time and care, you know? So you have to be able to live with both of those at the same time, and it's strange. You feel different every day.
So I feel like in our society, there's this idea that the more productive you are and the more profound experiences you have, like, that's what living life fully is. But it sounds like you're saying it's making you realize that you have to balance normal stuff too. You have to balance spending time with your loved ones. You have to actually enjoy making breakfast or coffee or whatever, and not just take all that for granted.
Personally, I think that the most successful people are the ones that can stay grounded while doing what they do. At least specifically in like music, in like just art in general. Really what I mean is that there are some people that go through this artist experience without the human experience anchoring them down, and I think it can be very slippery slope. It could probably also lead to some crazy innovation as well. I'm sure there's always some sort of martyr in a generation that like they sacrifice their sanity so that they could provide us with this crazy innovative thing. And that's like the real tough part, is because you want to be able to enjoy the success of your art, but who are you going to enjoy that with, right? You have to enjoy it with people you love and care about. And I think people you love and care about is really the core of what makes an artist an artist. Because like, what else are you going to talk or sing about? Is your experience.
That's such a great lesson. What can people take from your experience that could make their life more meaningful?
I think ultimately, if I could only give one lesson to people, and this is not an easy lesson, it still takes dedicated practice and mindfulness, but figure out the things that you want for yourself and why. And if the answer to that why involves other people, whether it's satisfying them or, you know, impressing them or receiving validation from them, I would argue or implore that that's not a good enough reason to sacrifice your time. That can be a secondary reason, and that's totally fine. But I think ultimately people need to do things that pleases their inner child more. I think the older that I get personally, like I feel so much more confident in myself now, having gone through the journey. Of course, my 20s wasn't normal because I had the whole brain tumor thing. But prior to that, I was living my life in such a way that I was like, I just want to make sure that I have this accolade and this milestone by this age so that people can look at my career and be like, wow, he really did that at a young age. He's the first Asian American to blank, blank, blank. And like, I wanted all those things because I wanted to be validated for them, to feel like what I was doing was worth it. And now that I'm older, I don't care so much about that anymore. What I really care about is like, am I going to be happy to listen to this song later?
Love it.
Yeah.
So, be human. Honor the people that are the structure of your life.
Yes, that's a great way of saying it.
And continue to find balance with doing, but also being present and feeling the world.
Yes. It's a tall order,
Darrow,
but you got to do it day by day.
thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you, Bao. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Cool. If you guys enjoyed this Everyday Epiphany from Darrow, please leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. My favorite thing for you guys to do, because I'm just starting this show, is to share it with a couple people that mean something to you. I'm also writing a book called Bao-isms, Everyday Epiphanies of a Mindful Artist, and you can go to Baovo Music to pre-order that and support any of my other projects. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts, from Darrow and me. Thanks for joining us for Mind Over Matcha.
Thank you.